Well, hey there, and welcome back to Heimler's History. Now, we've been going through Unit 4 of the AP Government Curriculum, and in this video, it's time to talk about how political ideology shapes social policy. So if you're ready to get them brain cows milked, then let's get to it. So in this video, here's what we're trying to do. Explain how political ideologies vary on the role of the government in addressing social issues, and explain how different ideologies impact policy on social issues. So in the last video, we talked about how liberals, conservatives, and libertarians view the role of government with respect to the economy. Here, we're going to shift and talk about how those same ideologies view social issues like marriage and family and poverty, abortion, etc. Now, here's where I tell you that when it comes to conservative and liberal ideologies and social issues, they defy easy, clean categories. So let's start with libertarian ideology, since they're probably the easiest to define when it comes to social issues. Recall that libertarians want as little government involvement on dang near everything, which includes social issues. To a libertarian, the only thing the government is good for is protecting private property and upholding individual liberty. So, legalization of marijuana? Duh. Why would you want the government telling you what you can and cannot put in your body? Abortion? Get the government out of there. Education? Ain't nobody need the government for that. So when it comes to economic issues, libertarians lean more conservative, and in general with social issues, especially regarding privacy, libertarians lean more liberal. Okay, let's move on to liberal ideology and social issues. Liberals tend to think that personal privacy, which is to say areas of behavior that should be excluded from government involvement, is pretty broad. So abortion, for example, is a private decision and should not be regulated by the government. So is the gender of the person you want to marry. Like if you're a man, you want to marry another man, the government needs to stay out of it. Legalize marijuana? No problem. Leave it to the individuals to decide. And that might be a little confusing because if you've been watching my other videos on political ideology, the constant theme has been that liberals favor government involvement. They want the government to get involved with poverty. They want the government to get involved in education. They want the government to get involved in regulating businesses. But on many social issues, liberals want the government out. Now, with conservative ideology, there's a similar conundrum. Conservatives want less government involvement on some social issues, but more in others. Conservatives believe that abortion is not a private matter, but should be regulated by the government. Conservatives believe that the government should mandate that marriage is an arrangement between one man and one woman. But when it comes to something like gun ownership, conservatives want the government out of that decision. When it comes to education, conservatives want to make their own decisions about how and where to educate their children. With respect to religious beliefs, conservatives want as little government intervention as possible. So the point is, with liberals and conservatives, they favor government intervention in some social issues and reject it in others. And like I said, there isn't an easy way to categorize them neatly. But just for poops and giggles, let's have a look at 3 non-required Supreme Court cases that illustrate this tension. The first is Planned Parenthood v. Casey in 1992, and this was a case that considered the abortion ruling handed down in Roe v. Wade. In the 1980s, a Pennsylvania law added some significant restrictions to abortions, like they mandated that any woman seeking an abortion had to wait for 24 hours before the procedure. Or if she was a minor, she had to have the consent of at least one parent, or if she was married, she had to have the consent of her husband. Now, to liberals, for whom Roe v. Wade was a triumph for women's rights, these strictures were unconscionable. To conservatives, these restrictions were moving in the right direction to reduce the number of abortions performed. So with respect to government involvement, liberals were like, no, and conservatives were like, oh heck yes. Well, the court ended up upholding Roe v. Wade, but simultaneously upholding almost all of Pennsylvania's restrictions. So I reckon you can say that there was a victory and a loss for both ideologies. Another case illustrating the tension between conservative and liberal ideology in terms of social issues was Zellman v. SimmonsHarris in 2002, which was about education. In this case, students in underperforming schools in Cleveland, Ohio were offered vouchers to attend whatever school they wanted. As it turns out, a giant portion of them used those vouchers to attend religious schools. Liberals saw this as a violation of the First Amendment's Establishment Clause. Like, they argued that the government should be involved in education, but not in paying for religious education. Conservatives saw this move as upholding freedom of choice regarding education. Well, this one was a win for the conservatives. The court decided that since parents were sending their children to religious schools by choice and not because they were mandated to, that such a system did not violate the Establishment Clause. And the final case illustrating this tension was Obergefell v. Hodges in 2015, which addressed the right of gay couples to marry. Conservatives believe that marriage and family is one of the chief cornerstones of society, and thus the government should prevent non-traditional marriages between people of the same sex. Liberals believe that the government should have no say in who a person marries, even if it's between two people of the same sex. Well, in this case, the court handed down a decision on the liberal side, which made same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states. Okay, thanks for watching. Click right here to grab a review packet, which is going to help you get an A in your class and a 5 on your exam in May. And if this video helped you and you want me to keep making them, the way that you let me know that is by subscribing, and you know me, I shall oblige. Heimler out.